All right, we are going to be looking at the Project Lead the Way teamwork presentation. It's pretty short. It should not take too long for me to go through this. We had one like this earlier first semester, so pretty similar. This quote we did not have, though, and I think that the quote is fairly meaningful. I'm going to let you read it just while I kind of hang out here for a second. And that's probably enough said about that. So let's move on. A team typically is comprised of people that don't know each other. You know, like when you get hired into a new job, you're not going to know the people you're working with. In this case, working in a classroom, you do know the people that you're working with. So establishing norms might not necessarily make a lot of sense when you're working with somebody you know, but if you're working with a team that you don't know, it's super important that you go through this process, and that's part of what this class is you're learning kind of what happens out there in the business world and when we go through to establish working relationships in those kinds of environments. So one of the things that you have with a team is you have various leaders that can emerge. You have chance for leadership positions to be in that team. You share the workload and the responsibility with each other. You have more people to brainstorm. Sometimes I'm bad at coming up with ideas, and somebody says something that's like, oh my God, that is an awesome idea. I'm going to roll with that. So there's a lot of benefits to working with a team. You can get more done than if you're not working with a team. So the first thing you have to do is you have to have a mission. Like what is it that you're going to do? And in this case, the mission is kind of set up for us. The mission is your assignment. So we're going to use the problem-solving format from Project Lead the Way to work through this project. So basically our goal is to complete this, and you're going to document this in your engineering notebook as you move forward. And then the second part is you're going to have your design brief, which that's what you're going to do after you establish your norms, is you're going to pick out which one of these design briefs you actually want to work with. Which one are you going to do? So goal number one, though, is you have to establish your norms. Then you'll pick your mission. So here you go. Develop your guidelines, protocols, rules. What are you going to do to establish your norm? What are the consequences going to be? Like if you have, like you could agree right now, if somebody says they're going to do something by a certain time frame and it's not done, maybe you both agree that that person's grade is going to be affected by that. And if you put that in writing right now in your engineering notebook, you can look back on that when it comes grading time. You say, look, this is what we agreed on, and that person should lose points because they didn't do what they were supposed to do. But the important part is you're establishing those norms now. You have to commit. You have to agree to follow the rules. And that's where the second document that you're going to be doing kind of plays into that. So make sure your team agrees on the norms that you establish. You're going to establish norms by brainstorming them. You're going to have your consequences for your norms. You're going to identify the key things that everybody's going to focus on. Typical group norms, make sure you're listening to everything from every person. Make sure you have a way to communicate with each other worked out, like email, cell phone, maybe even a time frame for that communication since we're working from home right now. Text messages at 3 in the morning, maybe not appropriate, maybe it is. Establish that in your group norms. What are the things that you're going to follow as you're working in this group? The last step in establishing the norms is to try to figure out what are the strengths and weaknesses from everybody. Is somebody better at inventor and another person's better at the sketches? Is somebody more creative and somebody more analytical in how they approach a problem? And then use those strengths and weaknesses within your team to make your team better. That's the most important part about working in a team. So that is it for this PowerPoint presentation. Everything else for today is kind of in the writing and stuff. I'm going to go through and look at the team norm part of the activity a little bit today, because that is what you're going to do. So you and your teammate are going to establish your norms for this particular thing. So using your phone, webcam, email, whatever you can, you and your virtual teammate are going to come up with your norms. Like how are you going to conduct yourself? What is your communication? How frequently are you going to be communicating? How are you going to name your documents? other things that maybe I said in the presentation. Once you have those norms worked out, you're going to finalize them in your engineering notebook. Establish consequences if the norms are broken. We're going to create a Gantt chart. That's probably more for the next class period of work. You don't necessarily have to do this today. Okay, I'm not looking for that to be something that you submit with today's homework. So you can kind of, like I said, I think I said this in the last video, that these steps kind of blend together a little bit. You do not have to have a Gantt chart done for the homework today. At the bottom of your norm pages and this will be hard for us to do, but you're going to sign them, and then your partner is going to assign them. Okay? So in theory, we would sign each other's assignment notebook because we'd be in class. You do not have to do that. So I'm going to kind of go over this a little bit again when I go over the virtual directions for the day. All right. Good luck establishing your norms. Pick that project, and your homework is done for the day.